Welcome to another edition of the Pigskin Preview here at Wings to Go. I'm Dave Ruthenberg, sports editor at the News Eagle, and joining us every week, as he does, is not only the proprietor of Wings to Go, but our own football guru, Brian Hacker. How you doing, Brian?
Pretty good. How you doing, Dave?
Good, good. Hey, we got some interesting games coming up this week, don't we?
Pretty interesting matchup in 6A right here at home in Enid.
Yeah, Union, big bad Union coming to town, and this is a game that has a lot of playoff implications. We know the history here. Union has not lost a district game since 1997, and Enid has not beaten Union since 1991, I do believe. But it's still an interesting situation here for Enid. They win out. They win their division. But winning out means taking out Union and then Bartlesville. Not an easy task.
Not an easy task at all. You know, Union last week had a real struggle with Bartlesville.
Right.
And Enid next week has to go to Bartlesville. So right now, Bartlesville really is the control of their own destiny. They got a game this week, then they're going to turn around and play Enid the following week. Enid has to beat Union in a lot of essence to maintain that. And that's a tough challenge. But if you look at deep inside the numbers, Union's not the Union of old, you know?
Yeah, they're not as scary on paper maybe as they have been. But they're still a team that just has this will and this confidence that they're going to win. And we saw that against Bartlesville. I mean, down 28-6 in the second half. Kick a winning field goal with a minute and a half left, and they get on and move on with another victory.
Move on down the road. And that game was at home, so Bartlesville's played well on the road. You know, you look at Union, they've got 289 points scored, 164 given up.
Right.
Enid's scored 259 and given up the same amount, 164. So both teams are going to be very similar. Enid's a little dinged up. Hopefully the guys can recuperate this week and get us down there. But it's going to be a heck of a game at Selby Stadium this week.
Going to be something on senior night at Selby Stadium. If you're in the area, I really recommend getting down there and seeing what could be a classic battle for playoff positioning and down the road, who knows what else.
Exactly.
Hey, Brian, as you can see by the two helmets in front of us for this segment, we got a local rivalry game that's going on. Chism and Pioneer tangling at Pioneer.
A little crosstown matchup going on. Chism, who's having their struggles this season, going up against Pioneer, who's had their struggles but have caught their mojo and are staring a 5-5 season in the face.
Yeah, they really, we talked about this earlier, how Pioneer faced a really difficult part of their schedule early on. And, you know, their last 2 weeks, they've scored 116 points, averaging 58 points a game, which has got to be a scary prospect going for Chism, which has been giving up roughly 58 points a game.
50 to 60 a game. And Pioneer hasn't shown a sign that they're going to let up any at all. You know, they're going to roll. And Chism hasn't shown a sign that they are going to score a whole lot. Right. So this could be a very scary game. It's at Pioneer, which makes it even worse for Chism, and there's going to be a great raucous crowd out there.
Yeah, and Chism actually scored 16 points last week, nearly doubling their season output. But that was in the late going against Tonga, a team they lost 76-16 to.
Yeah.
I think the rough season continues for Chism. I think Pioneer, like you said, I think they have a great shot at finishing 500, which would be terrific considering the start they had this season.
I agree. And get out and watch the game. That's going to be some great football out there.
Absolutely. Great rivalry. Hey, Brian, keeping it in the Enid area, we got OBA at home. They're hosting Hooker this week, a team that comes in with 0-5 in district play, 1-6 overall. OBA kind of got back on the winning side last week with a 13-0 victory. They finished against Fairview. I think these are two games that OBA probably wins and sets themselves up to potentially still make the playoffs.
Wins gets doesn't get to play at home in the playoffs, but Hooker should be a fairly good game where the backups get a chance to get in and get some rest.
Right.
Key with OBA is don't get anybody hurt, get in the playoffs.
That's the key. It's one of those games. Yeah, don't get anybody hurt, get a big lead, get your starters out of there.
Exactly.
Medford is traveling to Timberlake, and as I have come to learn, Timberlake is one heck of a place to play football. And Medford's going in there. They're 4-3. They lost a tough game last week to Covington-Douglas, 34-32. But is that maybe their best effort they've got right there?
That's a good effort. And, you know, Medford, Covington-Douglas, you got a little bit more of people know each other and people are playing each other. It's going to be more of a rivalry-type game. You're going into Timberlake. You're going to, like I said, that college atmosphere. You're going to go into a raucous atmosphere. And I really see Timberlake is a team that's going to roll this week.
Yeah, I see it that way, too. I think Timberlake moves on to 7-2. They're currently number 8 in the state rankings, and they maybe even move up a little bit and motor on to the playoffs from there.
Yeah, they're waiting for that Covington-Douglas and DCLA matchup and knock somebody out below them.
Exactly, and then they'll move up after that. Hey, we got a big game here too as well. Watonga is playing at Hennessy. Two solid squads. Watonga 7-1, Hennessy 6-2. They're both undefeated in district play. So this game really is for first place on the line.
This is for first place. Hennessy has been a strong team at home, but they really haven't played a whole lot. Watonga's gone on the road. They played at home, and they've shown their strength in the middle. Hennessy's leading in the district right now, but I think they're going to fall to Watonga this week in a good close matchup.
Yeah, they're leading by virtue of playing one more game in district, I think, than Watonga. Both teams have gotten the maximum 15 points in all of their district wins, so it really does come down to this game. Common opponent, maybe look at that. They both lost to Kingfisher. Hennessy lost 35-32. Watonga, in the first game of the year, lost to Kingfisher as well. But I think going forward as the season has progressed, I think Watonga is a stronger team.
Watonga is the team to beat. Hennessy, you can get it done at home, and you have a chance to write your own path in the playoffs. But it's going to be a tough game. You know, got to go out and get somebody.
District honors on the line at Hennessy Friday night. All right, let's move on to the college ranks, Brian, and let's talk about the Sooners who are hosting Colorado, and that is a very winnable game, but they're coming off a very disappointing loss to Missouri.
Disappointing performance for the Sooners, and from what listening to Bob Stoops' show and the media outlets, poor tackling, poor execution on defense, a little bit of difficulty on offense. Landry Jones had a chance to show that he was the leader of this team, but he didn't do that, and it really hurts OU.
Yeah, that's a good point. There wasn't a lot of leadership shown for OU going down the stretch of that game in Missouri. You almost had to say they wanted it more. They played like they wanted it more, and I know that kind of drives Bob Stoops crazy as well.
It does. You go into a raucous atmosphere. It's homecoming. They're going crazy in Missouri. Game days there, first time ever. You were going up against a wall, and you really had to come in and play as if you were the number one team in the nation. OU didn't show up like that. They're going this week. They're going to play at home. They're going to have Colorado on an 8:15 game on Saturday night, and Colorado has massive injury list. Their injury list is walking wounded right now.
Yeah, they showed some promise a little bit, I think, in the beginning of the season, but their injuries have taken its toll, and they lost last week. They put up a good struggle against Texas A&M, but they're just not there. And this is a game OU can kind of get healthy and get back on track.
OU being a 24-point favorite and probably going to cover it.
I would say so. Hey, let's talk about our other Big 12 Oklahoma representative, Oklahoma State, traveling to Kansas State. Oklahoma State coming off a 51-41 loss to Nebraska. Kansas State might be the most at 5-2, but they don't strike me as a 5-2 team. I think this is a team that can be beaten, and OSU could actually go in there and beat them pretty soundly, I think.
They could. I've seen K-State play really good. I've seen them play really bad. OSU, you're going on the road, and, Blackman had some incidents Monday night. So we don't know whether he's playing or not. We should hear that this afternoon or tomorrow. And with Blackman, if he doesn't play, OSU still should have an opportunity because K-State runs a balanced offense, but they like to give up the passing yards. And OSU can hopefully tackle somebody, use their special teams much better than they did against Nebraska, and should come out. I mean, OSU's favored by 5.5. I was shocked when I saw that number. I was actually shocked that it was that much. I thought that people were going to give K-State more respect. But OSU, an 11 o'clock game, that's an early game, so you don't have all day to think about it. And I think that'll help some.
Yeah, I think so. And, talk about points. I mean, we're talking about a Kansas State team that gave up 47 points to Baylor. Mm-hmm. So I think OSU should be looking to put up some serious numbers on the scoreboard.
Baylor is number one in the Big 12 South, though, right now, my friend.
But isn't that
scary to think?
It is scary. One quick note of K-State's wins: UCLA, Missouri State, Iowa State, UCF, and Kansas. Not exactly a murderer's row of opponents. So we'll see what happens, but I like Oklahoma State to potentially roll in this game.
I agree. I'm hoping so.
We got another team that's playing a pretty high-profile opponent Saturday, and that's Tulsa traveling to Notre Dame.
Traveling to Notre Dame, the Rudy.
Rudy and Newt Rockne and all those legends and ghosts of college football past.
They're going to be there. And I'll tell you what, I looked pretty heavily at this game. With Notre Dame being an 8.5-point favorite, I don't see it.
Yeah, this is one of those games, if we were betting, and we're not, you would say take the points.
So, I would take the points. I'd take the over.
The over.
Tulsa has they lead in the categories of
Right.
Points per game, yards,
Right.
time possession, less penalties, less fumbles, and less punts. The only thing Notre Dame favors Tulsa on is yards allowed. Well, you know Tulsa doesn't have a defense.
Right.
But Notre Dame's hasn't been that great.
No, they gave up 35 points in their loss to Navy, and they did not look good against Navy at all. I think the key for Tulsa is keep scoring.
Yeah.
You know, just keep going, doing what you do, and I think they can score on this Irish defense.
You got to keep scoring, but you also don't be intimidated by the atmosphere.
Right.
I mean, you walk into that stadium and you're just your tongue's dropping. If Tulsa walks out and plays football,
right,
they can beat this Notre Dame team.
This is a winnable game. Will they win? I don't think so, but it's really there for them. And if there was a year that they could go and beat a team like Notre Dame, it's right now.
It is right now, and they probably cover that 8.5. Not that I'm in, but I look at that and say, okay, what does Vegas think? Vegas thinks Notre Dame is that much better. I think they're tricking the bettors, and Tulsa is the better team.
Vegas knows what they're doing.
Yeah. They do.
So, 3 interesting collegiate games Saturday, a slew of interesting high school games Friday. Get out, and hopefully you get to check them out in person. If not, plenty on the tube as well. And I want to thank you again for joining us on the Pigskin Preview from Wings to Go. I'm Dave Ruthenberg from the News and Eagle, and Brian Hacker from Wings to Go. Thanks again.
Thank you. See you guys next week.